Today is Thursday, July the 3rd, 2025, and as a continuation of the video on alligator Alcatraz and the weighing of the heart, in this video, I want to discuss the Salvation Army and how they contribute to social dysfunction and Christian apathy in congregations of people who should be fighting for justice, as their religious leaders did, not waiting for someone else to come and fix all the problems they ignore while praying. You have to stop focusing on the symptoms caused by the problems and actually look at the causes. Otherwise, it's like putting Band-Aids on an infected wound without treating the infection. And in the case of the church, I mean the aid of music and the musically gifted, literally. Yesterday was a very dark day for me. They announced the verdict for the Sean Diddy Combs trial, and the injustice of it triggered me. It was not so much the problems with his charges and convictions, it's the way people express themselves and their thoughts and opinions and their feelings about it on social media. Without question, Sean Combs is guilty of imposing traumatic abuse on people in his social circle, sexually and otherwise. That people allow themselves to be exposed to him and thereby victimized by him is a testimony for many people across many social conditions and circumstances. People who suffer want relief from their suffering. The question is what options are available that would relieve them of the suffering while also preventing that suffering from reoccurring. I decided to make this video today because a key witness in the trial was Cassie Ventura, who was slaughtered by social media as a pregnant wife and mother of two, who completely exposed herself in graphic detail the salacious sexual involvement she had with Sean Combs and his orgies, which occurred regularly on his estates. Serendipitously, another Cassie showed up on my feed as I lamented about what I was seeing being consumed and fed to the masses. This young mother of two boys clearly has had a challenging life prior to being rescued by Jesus, according to her testimony. This includes being delivered from alcohol, drugs, addictions, sexual immorality, and abortion, all of which are regulated by our government. Her new life includes the launch of a new merchandising business of items she purchases from a manufacturer's, markets herself via social media influencing, resells, repackages, and ships for a profit. She says to herself that it is exhausting, which begs the question how that affects her social life within her local community, including with her sons.
POV, it's almost midnight and I still have not finished packing all of your guys' pre-orders. Pray for me, y'all. I'm gonna call it a night, but the rest of these gotta get shipped out Monday because your girl's tired.
If I ask people why God would allow me, Sean Ware-Avant, to suffer, what reasons might they give at this stage of my life, given what I have lived my life doing and have accomplished for the benefit of the lives of other people? If they said, well, you left the hymn God and stopped working, and that may be why. Well, I stopped working because of the pandemic and then refused to go back after, while asking the question why God would have allowed it, why God needed or wanted millions of people worldwide to die. Why would people ever leave God or anyone else? To do what? Why? Does that mean that for things in my life to improve, I would need to go back and believe him again? Let me share with you a post I reshared in May of 2020, where I did just that and was giving him another chance. Joni Rose Vare wrote, "For all of the women who feel you failed God because you've had sex before marriage, because you've yelled or cursed at your kids, because you've gotten into wrong relationships, because you've had a baby out of wedlock, because you struggle with addictions, because you've been promiscuous, because you can never seem to get your life together. Know this, the only way you can fail God is by completely rejecting him. The only way you can fail God is by giving up on him and walking away for good. The only way you can fail God is by not accepting his forgiveness every single time you need it. The only way you can fail God is by giving up on yourself. You're his daughter, and a loving parent never gives up on their child, no matter how far off the path they've gone. You don't have to keep asking for forgiveness for being human. God's already extended all the forgiveness and grace you will ever need. That's what he did for you at the cross. He knows everything you're going to do before you ever do it. He's not angry with you for being human and not getting it all right. He knows. When you asked him into your heart at any time in your life, it was a done deal and completely sealed. It doesn't matter how much you've messed up. It doesn't matter if you keep messing up, even though you're trying desperately not to. It doesn't matter what you look like to everyone else as long as you keep searching for him. Keep getting to know him. Keep trying. Keep talking to him. Keep believing, and don't let anyone or anything tell you that you're not worthy, because none of us are. The woman you think has it all together with God doesn't. None of us ever do. We all fight and struggle to accept grace and let go of shame. But that's what he wants all of us to do. Accept his grace and stop beating ourselves up searching for the right path. And if you can't stay on it, keep trying until you can. He loves you so much no matter what. He knows how messed up we are, and that's why we need a savior. He will teach you and guide you. Keep listening, and before you know it, he will have you built into the best version of you ever thought possible. Do not let Satan convince you that you're too far gone, or not good enough, or too broken for God, or that the lady over there is doing it right and you've got it all wrong. I promise you, she's struggling too. God's most beautiful masterpieces usually came from the most broken messes. These masterpieces have been through it all. These people know that God's not looking for perfection. He's looking for connection. You don't have to worry every day about trying to be anyone but you. He will show you, change you, mold you, and grow you. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for not being where God is taking you yet. He knows when and how. So hold your broken head up high, because you are the daughter of a king, and you are about to be crowned. I want to deal with this issue of worthiness and what that means to each person who has accepted it as an aspect of reverence to God, as an act of both submission and humility. I believe the differences in how people interpret and then internalize teaching and doctrine like this is whether the leaders they follow are profit-focused or profit-focused. Being worthy of love despite your flaws is not the same as being worthy of having a safe, healthy, and happy life that is inclusive of having your basic needs met and assured at all times, which brings me to the Salvation Army. There is no definition of army that is not military-based. The function of the military is supposed to be to protect via the use of force to gain the advantage in contentious situations against opposing people in conflict with the defending army. If the conflict is caused by a difference in values, who makes the determination of what is right and how? This is an important consideration because in 2025, it defines whatever it is you fight for or about on social media or otherwise. Leaders of the Salvation Army are incentivized for their service. They are not only not volunteers, but they are ranked based upon their completion of lengthy training and then years of service. They are also provided very nice housing, in some cases a company vehicle, stipends for school or other ministry-related pursuits, a salary, and a pension for retirement. An officer of the Salvation Army who is this invested and resourced would find it difficult to walk away should they determine that the true mission of the Salvation Army goes against what they personally value. Hypothetically, how do you imagine this promotional structure might influence someone like Cassie Blanco? Let's watch a news report about a recruitment effort of the Salvation Army for a perspective to consider.
Tracking local jobs tonight at the Salvation Army, which will hold open interviews tomorrow for 30 immediate openings to fix what the Human Resources Manager classifies as a staffing crisis.
Now, the manager admits the not-for-profits a $30,000 a year salary is a tough sell, but pitches to News Channel 9's Andrew Donovan how the other unique benefits make up for it.
Like for most of us, ringing bells was Erin Felix's first impression of the Salvation Army. Once she worked there, she learned it's so much more.
I started at the bottom and was able to work my way up and prove myself. So we have 15 bed shelter.
Felix now manages the women's shelter, which houses homeless women with mental health conditions. Understandably, a challenging job with a challenging salary, $30,000 a year.
It's very easy to be able to have a job seeker in front of me and say, yep, we're going to start you at X dollars an hour and we're going to give you medical, dental, and vision. And they're going to sit there and look at me and say, yeah, and what else do you have to offer me?
This HR manager has an answer with some unusual benefits: student loan forgiveness, discounted on-site daycare, an extra paid week off to an employee who gets married for the honeymoon, help paying for a child's braces, and a lawyer to write an employee's will for free, on top of the satisfaction of the work.
The joy on one of our clients' faces when they're actually housed and they're somewhere safe and they're somewhere that nicer than they've ever imagined, it's a great feeling going home and knowing that you've made a difference in their lives.
If you enter an area that is distressed to provide recovery support, how long should you plan to stay there? How would you determine whether the support you provide is effective or not? Should the needs be increasing or decreasing? If the needs increase after you have been providing supportive services for any length of time, do you assess the cause or causes to determine whether or not it's you?
Hi, I'm Major Chris Flanagan. I'm the Area Commander for the Salvation Army here in Hampton Roads. You know, this is a transition week for the Salvation Army in our territory, the Southern Territory, as we have many officers that have farewell from appointments and have arrived in their new appointments. And this week they are starting the transition of going into their offices and taking charge of their command. Yesterday, my wife and I had the opportunity to meet two of our new officers in our area, Captains Wayne and Claudia Meads, who oversees the Adult Rehabilitation Center in the Hampton Roads area. Captain Meads spoke about change and transition. Change is when we allow God to immediately come in and change our life. Transition is when we continue to allow Him to make those changes daily in our lives. Here at the Salvation Army, we're not just about making immediate impacts in people's lives, but long-term changes, walking with them in the transition of life, giving them hope, not only for today, but for all the tomorrows that they'll face. Thank you for all your support in helping us make the change and the transition in the people's lives of the Hampton Roads community. God bless you today.
It's important to remember that even nonprofits or not-for-profit organizations still make money. The expectation for tax purposes is that at the end of the year, the expenses match any profits accumulated so that the balance is zero, thereby reducing or eliminating any tax burden, meaning less taxes than other kinds of businesses, or no taxes, a benefit primarily reserved for religious congregations. What is your understanding of the purpose of taxes? Why do people have to pay them? Who collects them, and how are they spent? Contemplate that while we look at the Salvation Army Hampton Roads Command's annual report. Of the $5,653,485 they profited, 81% was from donations and grants. They then report that 81% of those donations went to providing assistance to individuals. You can use these funding priorities as a guide for what they imply the assistance was. An interesting report item is the total revenue from the Kroc Center, which was opened in 2012 in Norfolk, Virginia. They say that the revenues were $5,252,196, 76% of which is classified as other revenue. Although it was presented to the community as a new center for us all to use, the Kroc Center is not free. There are areas within the Kroc Center that are available for the public to use, but the majority of the facility requires a membership to access or a fee to rent. It's safe to assume the 76% came from those revenues. Another important thing to note is that 86% of those revenues went to administrative and operational expenses. Would you classify this as for-profit or not-for-profit? As an administrative and operational expense, let's look at some officer housing. All of the information I am sharing here is publicly available, although sometimes you need to be creative in understanding where and how to look. The important thing to understand about exempt land use is that it generally refers to real estate that is either classified or designated as exempt from property taxes, often based on its use or ownership, which you can see here is corporate. Free housing, free transportation, a salary, and pension. Why can't we all have that? Maybe it's that we aren't worthy. If you believe that, I guess it's a matter of who you trust, for what, and why.